What have you done and what have you not done, GM? I know that you haven't done enough work. You need more time. Well, you don't have enough time. Well, maybe you do. Here's how. Hello and welcome to this episode of How to Be a Great GM. My name is Guy and we're looking at that thorny issue of time management. What are we spending our time on as GMs, and how do we make sure we're spending the right time in the right places? And what do we have to actually do versus what do we need to do versus what can we do? So this is where you need to start, I think. You need to read your group. Does your group respond? You put down this beautiful battle map. Well, once we're allowed to play around the table. So on the virtual space that you're playing in, you present this beautiful map. Do they go, oh yeah, okay, I go there? Do they not care about the quality of your maps? Do they not care that you use minis or that you don't use minis? Reading and understanding your group is very important. Maybe your group absolutely enjoys it when you hand out little physical props that you've spent weeks handcrafting in your shed. Again, if your group responds to those kinds of things, then carry on doing that. But if they don't respond to it, you might enjoy doing it as a hobby, but then realize that you don't have to do it all the time. And once you've done it the first time, you don't have to carry on doing it either. So understand how your group responds to all of the things that you include. And sometimes you might find that if you don't include any of them, your group has just as much fun as when you were doing it all. There are times though when your group might go, I need a map. I need to see where my character is. I need to understand the layout of the starship. I just can't get it in my head. That's an important cue for you to realize, okay, you will need some kind of map, but maybe it doesn't have to be this beautiful work of art. Maybe it could just be some black and white lines that you've drawn out. So read your group first and foremost. Next, what do you like the most? It's a bizarre question that I get often. Oh, I'm forced to make my players want me to do this. How do I do that? My players want me to do that. You are not the only person playing the game. Why is it that the GM is expected to do all of the work whilst the players just pitch up and play and get all of this stuff? You get all the maps, you get all the tokens, you get all of the etc, etc, etc. The GM has to have all of the knowledge of the rule system. Why is it that the GM is the only one who's responsible for this? So what do you like to do? If you like to paint minis, then include minis in your game. If you don't like painting minis and you don't actually like using minis, then don't include them in the game. So what you've got to do is you've got to balance out. Well, my players really like this stuff and they really respond to that stuff. I really like doing this and that. So let me find a middle ground. Let me start thinking about a middle ground which works for both sides, because we really don't have a lot of time. And oftentimes you will get bogged down trying to finish the one component and then realize that you've left everything else behind. And that's actually the part that's going to make your game rise up, rather than just be, oh yeah, it's another beautiful map, but I wish the GM planned encounters better. Or I wish I planned encounters better. So understand what your group wants, understand what you want. Then you also need to understand why you GM. I know it sounds crazy, but do you GM because you're the only one who's willing to GM? In which case, why shouldn't you share the load? So if you're the only one who's willing to GM, there might be someone at your table who's willing to paint minis. So then as a group, you buy a whole bunch of minis, and then it's that player's responsibility to paint them to make them look good, if that's something that your group responds to. I know I myself have a very busy schedule in terms of creating games and all kinds of other bits and pieces for this channel, and although it's my full-time job, I still don't have enough time. I have often reached out to my players and said, look, we need a map of a starship. And I think that game is even on this channel, where it was a Star Wars game. And I needed the players to have a map of their starship, but I didn't have the time to do it. So I simply asked one of my players if they would do it, and they did a beautiful job of creating this map, because for them it was something that they enjoyed. For me, the map was serviceable, I could use it, it was fine, there was nothing that needed to be secret on that map because it's their starship. So oftentimes allocating activities to your fellow players, because you're all players of the game, even though you wear the title of GM, can be a major time saver. And if you think about it, it allows others to contribute to your game, which will actually get them to invest in your role-playing game far more than if they're just passive people who arrive and play your game. So figure out why it is that you like to GM. If it's because you like making mysteries and you like to see the players doing this, focus on that. put your efforts into doing more of that. It will give you a more rewarding experience. And if you're having fun, a lot of the time that will translate to your players having fun. So look at why you like to GM. Now, the final thing that I can suggest is that you sometimes need to adjust your style and you need to stretch yourself a little bit. Just arriving and doing the usual thing is fine, but I know I have become a far more competent GM because I've gone, I have to make a map, or, oh, I need to really design the city because they're going to be asking about it, or I've been prompted to do so, or my players have been asking, and I've actually put in the effort and gone, actually, you know what, that wasn't that terrible, and it resulted in a far more interesting game. I'm going to do more of that. So that is the last step that you can look at is, well, this is what you are currently doing. This is what your players would like more of. This is what you like doing. How can you combine what you like doing with what you're currently doing and then take it one step up to match with what some of your players would like? And that's how you advance. That's how you develop. And don't worry about the other stuff. Don't stress about the other stuff, and don't punish yourself for not having done the other stuff. Don't freak out or panic and go, oh, I haven't done the encounters. That's okay. If you have created some beautiful minis and you've built some 3D terrain, the encounters that you put in there are going to be fine. Just relax a moment, look at the amazing job that you have done thus far, and realize that this particular encounter, it's going to be some of this, it's going to be some of that, and just roll with it. After all, you're making up everything anyway, so why stress over stuff that you have no control over or no time for? Your task this week, therefore, is to identify what it is that you like to do and identify something that you don't particularly like doing and add that to your list. So your next adventure, plan for the stuff that you like and then add one component to that. So maybe you don't like drawing maps, or perhaps you don't like creating a prop, or you don't like using VTTs. VTTs take a bit of getting used to, I must admit, because it's a completely different technical set of understanding the mechanics and that sort of thing, but sometimes you'd be absolutely amazed at what it offers you in return. So dip your toe into something that you have avoided before. You never know, you might be surprised. And if you do, let us know down below. What did you or do you not like doing, and what have you tried, and maybe what have you discovered that you actually quite liked about the process? If you go into something that you don't like with an open mind going, well, let me see what I can do and maybe it'll be better, you never know. You might just find a new angle to your hobby that reinvigorates everything. Worth a shot? I think so. Our sponsor for today is all about helping you with your time management. Stargazers Guide to Aroria by Ink and Lyre is a new Kickstarter that launches with this video, or has already launched. I get a bit confused about the dates, but it is on Kickstarter. Link is down there. You can find it. You can go and have a look at it. This is the sample book that they sent me to show me their setting. It is beautiful as a book. It has just a vast amount of information in there. Very, very, very stylistic. The artwork is absolutely mwah, this is what you want. But what I really like about it is that they work you through their world setting. And if settings are something that you don't like designing, well, this one is, I would say, pretty awesome. And what I like about it is that it is reliant on a system that we all know and love, and it introduces new options for you as the GM as well as for the player. Different races, different classes, all kinds of interesting things that just add a little bit. They add a little bit of elevation. What I do like is it's very clearly laid out. Again, the artwork is very, very evocative. They've got notes all over the place, which I particularly enjoy. So there is a lot of thought that has gone into this book, into this Kickstarter. And to be perfectly honest with you, I mean, that looks like an amazing space. Look at that torii archway. That's from Japanese sort of culture, those very high-pitched roofs. It's a different kind of space. It's really, they've put a lot of thought into what this space looks like and into giving you information. Now look at this. This is what I particularly liked. Goals for their organizations and things, notable characters. And we're not talking giant 1,000 pages worth of reading that you're going to have to commit to memory. We're talking just a few elements. That's really strong for me. The Zodiac is a major component of this entire book as well in terms of how that integrates. I'm not going to go too much into that. I'm going to let you explore that. So head on down to their Kickstarter. If you're looking for I would like to say a fresh setting, but that incorporates things that we are familiar with, which makes it a lot easier to assimilate as the GM. This is somewhere that you want to go and have a look at and see how you can jump in on this, because like I said, the artwork is absolutely stunning. The book looks great. The contents is even stronger, and it generates a lot of stuff for you that you don't normally, or that you would normally have to do. It's already in the book. Really worth a look at. Now, a big thank you to you for watching all the way through to the end. A big thank you to our Patreons for supporting this channel and making everything possible. And until next week, I wish you and yours the very happiest of gaming.